generation. Open your eyes, open your imagination.
The is a English amorphous musical entity. Hopefully you'll work out what I mean as I go along. It's a vehicle for a guy called Matt Johnson, and he started by making tapes himself and selling them. There was then a studio recorded album which was unreleased, and he's been in and out of commercialism since. This was the late 70s when he started out. And since then it's been fluid between whether the is a band or a single person project. There have been times when there have been several official band members and times when there's only been him, and he's used guests and session musicians. There are times when he went on tour with a band. There were times when he created films and took the films on tour, which were effectively an extended music video for an album. All the band members include a couple of people that I've heard of: Johnny Marr, who was guitarist for the Smiths before he joined the, and Gaylan Dorsey, who was for a while a bassist for David Bowie. But collaborators, there's been loads of them. The names that I want to pick out here are Mark Armand, Jedgie Thirlwell, who was the Fetus named projects, Jules Holland, Nena Cherry, and Sinead O'Connor. He spent a long time between 2003 and 2017 doing soundtrack music rather than band-based music, but recently, so since 2017, they've returned to being a band. So the is currently a band. Hi, my name's Dan. So depending on how you count it, this was the third released studio album by the. It depends on whether you count some of the unreleased ones. And I've heard of the. I'm sure I would know a song or two of theirs from the late 80s, but I didn't know any of this album. I can't off the top of my head name any of their songs. So this was a point in time when the were officially a band, and it included Johnny Marr, who was previously in the Smiths, on guitar. And let's try and describe what it is like musically. It's quite expansive. There's elements of lots of things in here. There's kind of popness. There's a bit of, it sounds like bits of The Cure coming in there. But there's elements of things like funk and rockabilly. Johnny Marr on the guitar has a really good effect on the music here. There's some great guitar playing, again part of the expansiveness of what's going on here, and it takes its time, which I like. So it doesn't just kind of rush from verse to verse. It has kind of instrumental sections and stuff. And this is why I'm going to claim that I think that this is probably best categorized as art rock, because it's not quite as full blown as progressive rock. But it's certainly more interesting and more musically nuanced, and production-wise as well, than kind of straight out rock or pop rock kind of thing. There's some 80s kind of sounds in there, but there's a lot of variety going on. There's actually quite a lot of musicians involved, and there's a lot of care taken of the production and the sounds that are here. I think I'm going to have to confess, I really enjoyed it musically. For me, the best track musically was the first track, which is Good Morning Beautiful. I'll stick a bit of that at the end of this review, which is a big soundscapey type thing, and I love things like this. And it's got quite a lot of spoken stuff going on in it. In general, the vocals are kind of somewhere between spoken and sung, and kind of whispered and creaked even. I don't know if you kind of get what that means. And the themes here are the songs about religion. There's quite a lot about religion, so I wouldn't say that I necessarily agree with his stance, but I think he's is making reasonable points. There's certainly got a thing about the way that the name of religion is used for all sorts of things that possibly the creeds of those religions would not agree with. There's some politics here, there's some relationship stuff here. At times it's a little on the preachy side, but actually mostly it's generally quite interesting, I would say. Overall, I have to say, actually, I really enjoyed this. It kind of hit that spot that I like of the more interesting kind of musically stuff, less straightforward, a little bit more kind of maybe pretentious. Yeah, I'm going to confess I quite like some of the pretentious music. So it appealed to the side of me that likes the art rock and the prog rock and those kind of things. So this was a new album on me. I would consider this to have been a good discovery. And I think I might be seeking this out to get a permanent copy of my own. What do you think? Let me know in the comments down below. That's it from me for now.